So the question is, what constitutes a break when starting structured training? And this depends a lot on what your training looked like in the lead up to the break. For most people, I usually recommend 2 weeks off the bike, 2 weeks of open riding. But I would say, if you trained consistently last year, and I would kind of define consistently as if you train more than 3 to 4 days a week, without an extended break for 6 months, maybe, on the order of 10,000 TSS for the year, with less than 3 to 4 breaks in training of about 1 week or so. Basically, it really depends on your fitness, your background, how many years of training you've done, what you're used to, what your kind of stress level is like, as far as, what is gonna, what your fatigue level is like, what your kind of deeper fatigue level is like, as far as a break that you might need. So, yeah, typically for most people, it's going to be 2 weeks off the bike, 2 weeks of open riding, but that does vary. So, I would also say what you do during those 2 weeks off the bike it's somewhat flexible, but the goal is for total load to come down so you can actually kind of rest and recover. And so what I usually tell people is do as little as your mental health can tolerate. And with the idea in mind that, the less you do during that time off, the better you're going to set yourself up to be able to train hard and do more training, in the interest of your, in your next event. So, if you look at kind of what we would call like an ideal CTL curve, you're going to see that it stair steps, and that the bigger drop down on the stair is going to be this time of year. It needs to really come down quite low. One thing that I would caution against that I see a lot of people do this time of year is like they're hesitant to take a break, and so they tend to just kind of limp along in training. They're not really doing productive training. They're not taking a break, and they kind of just drag along in this limping along fashion. And then, they do get motivated for whatever reason. A lot of times when we start kind of planning a race calendar, that can be a big kind of boost in motivation. And people will kind of decide, well, I haven't really been training, so I'm going to go ahead and call that a break and then start training now. And I would just caution against that. You do need generally an actual break, and not just like kind of a down period. So I see that happen a lot, and I would say you're better off taking an actual dedicated break. So yeah, without kind of deeper symptoms of overtraining, I would say 2 weeks off and 2 weeks open.